Hi guys, welcome to Paul's DIY, and in this video it's going to be a double feature. I mentioned a few videos back that I'd lost a lot of footage on my Joker custom, and fortunately I wasn't able to find it. I think I actually deleted it by accident. Luckily I did take a lot of still photos of the figure during the process. Don't know how I managed to keep these still photos and lose the video, but you know, nothing I can do about it now. So again, I've been doing the Red Hood custom as well, based on the Arkham games Red Hood, using a Power Rangers figure, the Power Ranger based on the movie that came out. And in hindsight, because I used the red figure and I eventually ended up painting it in all black, apart from obviously the red hood. In hindsight, it probably would have been easier just using the Black Ranger figure. So what I've done is I've taken all the video and footage from the Red Hood and all the video and footage from the Joker custom and amalgamated it into this double feature. So guys, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
Okay guys, so the first step was to cut away the back of his left leg, cut away the back of the knee, and this is so that I can reposition it using wooden dowels and some high tack, which is an adhesive glue, and then I taped it all together in place and left it to dry. And then went in with some milliput, moulded it and filled out the gaps on both sides of the knee, and then went in with a knife to score in the pleats of the trousers. I also filled in around his crotch as well, where the legs moved on the hinge, if you want to call it. I glued the legs into place and then using the milliput filled in the gap, and then I went in with some model paint, some purple model paint, and give the whole thing a repaint. So the hardest part of this custom was trying to fit the revolver keychain into the Joker's hand. And I went in with a drill and drilled a hole straight through the top of the hand. I went in with some pliers and a Stanley knife to cut away the inside. Tried the hardest to prise the fingers apart, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't fit the handle of the revolver into the palm of his hand. So I had to cut away his index finger and his thumb, and that way I could get the revolver in. And then, I know I keep harping on how good milliput is, but I went in with milliput and remoulded his index finger and his thumb, and as you can see by the photos, it just blends in perfectly. Went in with some green paint and give it a complete paint on both hands so they matched, and that way the revolver sat perfectly in his hand and the finger just looks naturally wrapped around the trigger. So as you can see on the right side, the original eyebrows that were painted on this figure are absolutely terrible, so I went in with the wife's nail varnish remover and removed the eyebrows. I originally was going to repaint them on, but I thought when I looked at it, he looked more creepy without eyebrows. So I got some inspiration from the Dark Knight Joker as well, so I went in with a bit of green paint, a bit of black paint, and just pretty much sprayed it all over his face as if he'd put the makeup on himself and he'd not done a good job. Went in with some yellow paint around his teeth to make them look not so white and pristine, and this way I just thought it'd give him a bit more of an evil look and a bit more of a creepy look as well. So originally that was just going to be the end of that custom, repositioning his legs, putting the revolver in his hand, using milliput to do the figure. I was going to do a custom base and give it a whole new repaint, and that was it. Until I came across this photo on Instagram from danfrost2205 of a custom Mr. Freeze figure that he'd done. And looking at this picture, and I just looked at the dome and I thought, the Red Hood. Instantly thought of that. I also thought I could do my own custom of Mr. Freeze using the Inquisitor figure from, I think it's Star Wars Rebels, but I thought I need to find something that I can recreate that dome, paint it red for the Red Hood from the Killing Joke, where you get a bit of an origin for the Joker. His wife dies, he's doing a robbery, and he has to put on the Red Hood cowl and cape. I thought I could add that to this custom. So the way I went about doing this was using a hand sanitizer bottle, which was a perfect shape. I just had to cut the top off and it left a hole. So using Milliput, I went in, let that dry and then sanded it down and give it a paint with some gloss spray paint, and there I had the Red Hood cowl. Next I moved on to the custom base. I took inspiration from the Prime 1 Studios Joker base with the staircase effect, made it out of card and then went over it with some masking tape just to make it all smooth and blended. I then went in with some brick effect paper, which I used as PVA glue to glue that on, and I put foam on the top to create the base. So some of you guys might recognise this. This is a Krillitane creature from Doctor Who, and I've used this as a gargoyle at the base of the staircase, and he's going to be holding a stick of dynamite. There's also going to be a stick of dynamite attached to the side of the custom base, and then a few other accessories dotted around. So here you can see a couple of the accessories that I bought from eBay. He has dynamite strapped to his chest. I bought a miniature pack of cards, and he has a plunger that sets off the dynamite as well. A few aces and jacks dotted around the base, and there you can see the dynamite strapped in the gargoyle's hands with an ace of spades at his feet. And then I've also got some dynamite attached to the side. It's actually cost quite a bit, that, because it's actually quite detailed. And then obviously the gun in his hand with the ace of hearts in his chest. And yeah, just thought a few other accessories might make this base look a bit more dynamic. So to finish off with the accessories for the custom base, I wanted to do a newspaper clipping, and I took inspiration from Cosplay Chris's custom collectible of his armoured Batman, but he had the newspaper mashed into the ground with a bit of it made it like it was wet, whereas this I just wanted to make an actual newspaper that had been folded up and left on the floor. So I found this image on Google Images. I saved the image to my computer, and then I copied the image 4 times next to each other to make like a newspaper sized image, and then I cut it out and folded it into the shape of a folded newspaper. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed the first part with the Joker Red Hood custom, and now we're going to move on to the Jason Todd Arkham Knight Red Hood custom, which started off originally as the Red Power Ranger from the rebooted movie. In hindsight, because I ended up painting this black, I should have just started with the Black Ranger, but I used the Red Ranger, and using milliput I went in and moulded around the existing head and tried to make it into a sort of motorcycle shaped head. And originally you can see here that I kept the mouthpiece, and I was going to keep that as is, but then after researching more pictures of the Red Hood cowl itself, I went in and covered it up with more milliput, sanded it down into a motorcycle head shape. So as well as using milliput on the head of the figure to fill in the eyes and mouthpiece and create the Red Hood cowl, I also used milliput on his chest to fill in the diamond shape that was there, and I just wanted to make it into one solid chest piece with a line down the middle to create a base for the logo. The next step was to go in with a pen, and I drew in the eyes and where I wanted the contours on the helmet to raise up slightly for his cheekbones. And again, I used milliput to create that, and I used a Stanley knife to score out the eye sockets in the milliput. And here you can see I've scored out the eyes. The chest plate is finished with the logo, and during this process I'd do a little bit of moulding, whether it be on the chest piece or the cowl itself, and then go in with some grey primer, spray it that way. Obviously once the milliput dried, go in with the primer, spray it, and that way you can see if there's any holes, dents, anything that needs smoothing out or readjusting, and then you can go in with the milliput. I went in with the milliput, corrected it, and that way once the cowl was finished and the chest plate was finished, I went in with some primer just to finish it off, ready for painting. And here you can see all the pouches are now finished, and I just used a normal Loctite super glue to glue them into place.